Hello, guys. Welcome back to the channel. If you're a brand new viewer, welcome to my channel. So, I have a banger video for you guys today. In today's video, I'm telling a story that happened very recently. I would say very, very recently. This is the most recent story I will have told on this channel by far. This event occurred last summer on the great day of independence. Yes, the 4th of July. I am telling the story of how I relapsed but didn't quite get the habit back. I was just having a fun night, per se. I actually wanted to get into some details before I get into the main part of the video. I feel I should mention that I don't live in the place that my other videos were about anymore. I moved away about halfway through my freshman year, and previously I was living in Texas. However, I had moved to a town in Wisconsin for a while, then moved a little bit north shortly after that. So in this story, there are completely new and unseen characters, never before seen on my channel. And I just wanted to get that um, through so I can start the main video. So this story begins on in late in the night of the 3rd of July. This starts the day before the main event happened. So one of my friends from where I used to live, from my OG stories, the stories from back a while, had been up with me. He moved. He came and visited for a short amount of time. He had only been there for a few days, and he actually brought a bag of Coke with him. The glorious blow, if you could say. And so he had started with a ball. However, once he got there, it had been maybe about 2 grams left. Previous to this, I had been sober for like a year or two, up to this point. However, I didn't have a problem doing any because it had been so long that I don't think I could get this habit back. So he leaves in the morning the next day, but he leaves the rest of this bag with me. He said it was a treat for meeting up after a long time. I graciously, um, graciously accepted this gift that he gave to me. So as it gets later into the night, on the 4th, a friend that I had at I have currently at this school texted me. We'll call him David. So David texts me and asks me what I'm up to. And I tell him I'm not up to nothing, right? I'm not doing shit. So I text my buddy Jaden to bring me down to where David was at. He's only 10 minutes away, 10 minutes south. So Jaden was on his way to my house to get me. However, I was pre-gaming this night ahead, starting in my room, but while this Jaden guy was on his way. So when he picked me up, I don't think he knew that I was blasted. I don't think he knew that I was geeked. At least not until later. So Jaden gets to my house and he starts, taking me down where David was at, which is only 10 minutes away, right? I should say that like a 10-minute drive in the Midwest is really not that far. You know, like there's not much, especially where I am, there's not really a ton, it's very small towns we live in. So 10-minute drive is really not super far. But anyway, we got down there and I was straight geeking off of this code. This is some fire shit. So once we got to where we were meeting at, which was at the back of this back parking lot of a restaurant. I think it was a nicer restaurant, but we didn't actually go into the restaurant. So we meet up with David, but it's not actually David. It's not just David, right? So it's also two other guys. We'll call one Larry. Actually, I'm going to call him by his real name because I don't really like the guy. The guy isn't really a guy I like, and he's really just not a cool guy. So his name. So anyway, we got two guys. So this guy Leroy and this guy Michael. Michael's not his real name though. So Leroy and Michael they link up with me and Jaden and also David at at this spot. So we get to walking around. We get to talking and walking in a in a small town like this. There isn't really much else to do but walk at this time of night, right? There isn't, most places are closed, and it's the 4th of July. Most places are closed anyway. So we get to walking, and it's the 4th of July. So David has this big bag of fireworks just to light up around town. And I geeked off this Coke when we start lighting these fireworks. And after we light these fireworks, I'm just geeking even harder. I'm just having a blast. I'm having a true blast. This shit was just genuinely fun as hell. And it was definitely enhanced by the blow I was doing. The mood was up. I was having a great time, and I think the rest of the group was too, but they were actually not geeking off of anything. At this point, they didn't. I don't think they actually knew quite yet. I forgot to mention there was also another person there. David had a girl come along with us while we were lighting these fireworks. I'm not even going to give her a name because I low key just don't care. I don't care about this particular person. At least not right now. So, anyway, we're throwing these fireworks around, having a great time. And eventually, this guy, Michael, he starts throwing some firecrackers at our feet. So, we start throwing them back at him. And we're just like, we're geeking. We're having a blast. We're just laughing around. We're throwing these fireworks at each other. We're having a blast. And whilst we're doing this, David notices some sniffling coming from me, right? He notices this sniffling. And he asks me why I'm sniffling so much. This is that classic Coke drip going down my nose and throat. So I'm absolutely retarded off of this blow. And I just thought it was a wonderful idea to just tell him I'm geeked off of some fire. Tell him I'm geeked off this fire Coke. His reaction wasn't even that crazy, to be honest. It wasn't even that nuts. I'm pretty sure the whole group heard me say this because I was just so casual about it. Immediately afterwards, we get back to throwing fireworks around and talking it up while we, walk around the town, right? We're talking it up. We're having a blast still. And at this point, Jaden says he's had enough for the night and dips out to go home. It's a bit late for him. He's usually not out this late. I would say it's around like midnight, or like it's not quite midnight, but I'd say it's like 11. So now it's just me, David, Michael, and Leroy, and the unnamed girl David had with as well. He was talking to her quite a bit. I think they were starting a thing at this particular time. So eventually, Leroy says he's trying to go back to his place, which was not far away. So we just walked with him there. It only took about 5 minutes to walk there. In reality, he didn't want to go back to his house, and go to sleep. He was actually just trying to take some rips off his cart. This guy's got to be almost 40, taking rips of probably some boof, probably some absolute garbage weed out of this cart. Uh, so at this point, this coke was starting to wear off, and we were all in Leroy's place for a few minutes, right? So before anyone else walks out, I decide that I'm going outside and I need to rub some of this blow on my gums. I just can't take it anymore. I'm not trying to come down. I need more, right? So I just think that rubbing, gumming it is just the best, quickest option. So before they walk out of the house, I'm running out this bitch and I'm rubbing it on me, right? I pull the bag out and I'm rubbing it on my gums. And then they walk out, and I had my bag in my pocket before they saw. So we were chilling, right? Nothing too suspicious going on. So we were chilling and walking around even more after, we get out of Leroy's place, right? We're all chilling, throwing fireworks. And so so we're chilling and walking. And eventually this group got separated. We were like we were having some fun and we were starting to run around. So it was at one point it was just me and this girl that came with David, right? This girl that David was having some kind of affairs or relations with at the time. And she asked one of the craziest things to me at that moment. Like this might have been the craziest question to ask. Like I don't know if there could have been a crazier question. So she asks me, "Can I have some?" she says. And I say, "Can you have what?" She asks, "Some of that coat." And I was bewildered at the fact that out of anyone, this person would ask me to do cocaine while separated from the group. I immediately ask why she wants to do some of this cocaine. And she says, "Well, I've always wanted to try cocaine." And I asked her, "So you've never done it before?" And she says, "No." And my instant reaction is, "Hell no. Hell no, you can't go. Hell no, you can't get this blow." You see, this was an exclusive bag, right? This was the only bag I had. And I wasn't really trying to share it with any newbies, right? I was either going to use it for myself or I was going to share it with someone more experienced. It got a bit awkward for a bit until the rest of the group, caught up. It was kind of weird after that between us. So anyway, at this point there was less firework lighting and more talking and drama talking and whatnot, and more getting geeked for me. Right, I was pulling out the bag and gumming whenever I could. And so eventually the night got pretty boring after a while, as the night went on. So we started to make our way back to the parking lot to separate. And we stopped at this restaurant that was near the parking lot for a bit. David and the girl went in there for a while and left me, Leroy, and Michael outside to talk, right? So me, Leroy, and Michael get to talking. And eventually we get on the topic of drugs. I don't know how I really don't know how this happened. I imagine it was because everyone knew I was geeked out of my mind. So we get to talking, and once Leroy hears about this conversation, right, we're having, he pipes up. His mood immediately goes up, and so he mentions that he sometimes was a plug, right? He mentions that he sometimes was a distributor of multiple kinds of drugs, right? So Leroy starts gassing up these drugs that he doesn't even have right now, right? And we get tired of it very quickly. We're just not trying to, we're not trying to talk to this guy about this just like we knew this guy was lying off his ass about, how good the non-existent shit he was selling. So we sat around for a bit longer and David and the girl came back out of this restaurant, and we once they do come out, we walk pretty quickly to this parking lot where the girl and Leroy eventually left. So after they left, it was just David and I left. Me and him had already discussed that I was staying at his place for the night, and that was it, really. I don't know. So we started walking back to his house, and he mentioned to me that he didn't want to see me, chopping any lines or gumming any coke in his house, right? He has, younger siblings, and he wasn't trying to have any of them see that. So I agree to this and end up coming down from this blow and just end up just slumping so fast at this house, man. It was hot as fuck, by the way. It was so hot that night. I was like, I was sweating in this bed that he provided for me. I was not having a great time at all. It was hot as fuck. Anyway, that's really all I have for this video. That's really all that happened this particular, night. And all that happened after was that we woke up and I left. I should also mention I finished this bag shortly after in the next few days, and I have not done any since. So I was correct in the fact that I was not going to do any more after this. I didn't even know anyone who was selling up here really. Anyway, so if you enjoyed this video or if you found it relatable, please click the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And don't forget to comment because that really helps me get this video out to new people. Please check out my other videos if you haven't already as well. Please. It really helps me out a lot. I want to get monetized before I graduate. That would be awesome. So anyways, see you in the next video and have a great time.